Ready? Are we doing this? Basic Bros podcast. This is it.
So 3, 2, 1. I'm done. You know what? I'm going to bed.
Okay, whatever.
Whatever. Basic Bros.
Basic Bros podcast episode 3.
What? What's up, guys?
How's it going?
Oh.
Real quick before we get started,
Oh.
Joseph has something to talk about, but before we get there, we're going to do two things. One, today's sponsor, O Sushi in Coquitlam, BC. Go check it out. Get the Mahyar VIP combo if you can. It's great. Second thing I want to do is I want to thank you guys, our first set of watchers. I don't know if you're new watching or if you've been back watching, but we really appreciate it. I think we got more hits on our podcast, our previous podcast, than we anticipated, or at least than I anticipated. But if you can, please like, share, and subscribe. We would really appreciate that. And if you're new to the podcast, we welcome you and we hope you watch the other episodes. But let's get into it. Joseph's got a story to tell us. Joe?
All right.
What do you have to rant about?
Oh my god. Amazon. Worst customer experience of all time. And this happened last week. Oh, jeez. It's nearly unbearable to speak about. But essentially, all I wanted to do was to change my email address. And my email address for my Amazon account was an old email address I stopped using years ago and just never bothered changing. And I wanted to change it to my current one, which is a Gmail one. What happened is I accidentally created a secondary Amazon account under that Gmail months ago, a long time ago. I realized that was a mistake because I actually wanted to log in, but created it by accident. And yeah, I had to delete it, which was fine. But then it caused issues because it was still in their database for some reason. So knowing how this stuff sort of works, I imagined it was a pretty easy fix. You just purge it from the database or whatever. But it was not that easy through customer service. First of all, I had to go through the live chat with like some people from, I don't know, some customer service across the seas. No idea who they are, but they were horrible. Absolutely horrible. I think I spent like multiple hours on it, and they just kept telling me to do the same shit. Like, it's stuff that I already know because I've tried it, and that's why I'm going to them. But then they're just walking me through what I already did, telling me I did it wrong.
Okay, so what's happening is you're going from one customer service like department, and then they're like, oh, we need to send you to this customer service department. Then you're explaining the same story. They're giving you the exact same rundown steps that you've already done, correct? Is that what's happening?
That's not even there yet. Like, I've been talking just to live chat, which is like base point, like level 1 customer service, like noob stuff. The thing is, you know how when you want to change your email address, generally on any site, you have to enter in your new email address, confirm your new email address, and then enter a password, your existing password, to essentially make sure you're the person that's trying to confirm it, right?
Mm-hmm.
This help person kept insisting that I have to create a new password, even though there's one fucking password field. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. But this person just kept insisting. So I'm like, fine, I'll do it. Obviously, it didn't work. And she kept saying she'll give me an email, which would go to my non-existing email address, right? Because I'm using like a non-existing email. And I'm like, dude, I won't receive because the email does not exist. And then she like just completely ignores that. And she's like, oh, your email is sent. Can you check it and follow the instructions? I'm like, no, because I told you this is like the base of my problem, that this email account does not exist anymore. So after like an hour or something, I escalated to her manager. And at this time, she's like a little hesitant or resistant, I guess, on forwarding me to her manager. She's like, oh, he'll just come to the same conclusion as me. I'm like, well, what the fuck? Why are you telling me this? I want to talk to him. And eventually, she finally got me to him. And just as she said, he did this exact same thing. I had to go through the exact same thing. This was hours. And finally, I'm like, dude, is there anyone technical that I can speak to that would know more about this shit? Because it should not be this hard. Some account specialist or something. And he's like, okay, I can get someone to phone you. What's your number? Give him my number. And a few seconds later, Amazon calls me, which is pretty awesome, right? I started talking to this person, but realized she's just level 1 phone support again. So I have to like talk about everything from the beginning. She walks me through the exact same shit that I just did like for hours. And yeah, it's just so infuriating. Eventually, I get escalated to a tech person that is related to accounts specifically. So this guy seems like he knows what he's talking about, so I just go straight to it, asking him, what the hell do I do in this specific situation? And he's like, okay, I can just merge your accounts because you have nothing on there. I'm like, what do you mean? I have like purchases, I have gift cards, I have tons of shit. And he's like, no, you have absolutely nothing. I'm like, how's that possible? I'm looking at it right now. And he's like, wait, are you on the .ca? I'm like, yeah, that's where I came from. And he's like, we're .com. I'm like, oh my god, I spent that guy on live chat forward me to .com. He got .com guys to call me, even though I was on the .ca site. So that was like more than an hour wasted talking to the wrong people. I'm like so pissed at this moment. So that guy's like, okay, sorry about that. I'll forward your call to the .ca people. However, that starts me back at the level 1 customer service talk again, where I have to go through the very basics of my problem. And they, again, I don't know why this is their, I guess their process, but they get me to try to do the exact same stuff, even though I'm very insistent that I've been trying this the last hour or more than an hour. But this guy's a little more understanding, and I get escalated way faster, like within 10 minutes instead of like the hours or whatever. He was not, I guess, resistant on what I'm saying. So I get forwarded to some tech guy or something like that, and he's like, our account people are not working right now, so we'll get them to call you back in 24 to 48 hours. I'm like, all right, fine. More than 48 hours passes and no call, so I just call him back. And this time I have like zero patience. I'm like straight up to this person. Okay, I spent like hours talking with like 5 different people, 6 different people. Just forward me directly to an account specialist like right now. And then he's like completely resistant. He's like trying to get me to do the exact same shit again. And I'm like saying, okay, let me tell you what I did. And if you're trying to tell me to do the exact same shit, please don't. So I went through that. And finally he's like, sensing how angry I am, because at this point, like my voice is raised, I'm like swearing and stuff like that because it's just ridiculous at this point. Forwards me to the tech guy, and what happened is I briefly go over like within 1 minute summary type of thing, and he's like, oh, okay, I can fix that for you. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, so what happened was that the guy who originally deleted your account didn't do it properly. He didn't release your email from the database. So even though the account is deleted, the email still exists. Here, let me just... It literally takes him 10 seconds. I'm like, thank you. Because that's exactly what I was thinking should have happened the first time I contacted them. Yeah. But instead, it's like a complete shit show of hours of wasted time. So
it's weird because customer service protocol like that will always bite you in the butt. Amazon might have really bad customer service when it comes to their tech, but when it comes to their products, they seem to be pretty legit. So I'll tell you one of my briefs. Wait, are you like, what, in the end, satisfied, not satisfied?
In the end, I was completely not satisfied with
how long it took.
the live chat people. I wrote like a lengthy ass review of how crappy they were, and I never write reviews. Like,
Yeah.
and this I spent like 10 minutes reaming them out on their you know their how was my service type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god, so much to write. I pretty much wrote this. Yeah.
You should
That's
have not
funny.
used live chat in the first place. Just call them directly. Maybe it's different in Canada, but I remember you just gave them your phone number on the website and then they call you right back. So you should have
Yeah.
always dealt with that instead of live chat, because live chat, so much information get lost in translation, right? And it's just a giant waste of time, what I find usually.
I guess.
Yeah.
Lesson learned.
Totally. I ordered
Never used
this
live
like
chat.
really crazy modern HEPA filter from Amazon. Like it looked like a MacBook. You know what I mean? Like it just like totally sleek, like looked like Apple made it. It's quite
What
pricey.
filter?
A HEPA filter. It like collects all the dust and fibers and like hair in the air.
Ooh, yeah.
I highly recommend, if you guys, even people out there, if you don't have a HEPA filter, get one, because it is the most amazing thing ever. It's one of like my favorite purchases that I bought, and it's just something that's on all day, and it just
Isn't it?
cleans the air in my
Is
room.
it loud?
It can get loud. The tabletop ones don't tend to be too loud, but I have a bigger one that sort of clears the air of my entire space. Like it does, like it can do 2,000 square feet in 3 cycles every hour. So it'll cycle that air in 2,000 square foot space 3 times in 1 hour. And because I have a dog and he sheds, it's beautiful because I put it right where he usually walks by, and it just gets all that extra hair. So
Nice.
like dusting, vacuuming, just even like your everyday breathing becomes better. Like you notice it. So I highly recommend. Honeywell is usually a pretty good one, and all you have to do is every few months or every 6 months replace
switch
the
out
pre-filter, and
Yeah.
then the other filters, and you're good to go again. So anyway, I bought this small tabletop one, and when I got it, it smelled like weird, like it was new plastic smell, and I'm like, I don't know if this is right, like is this weird? So I messaged Amazon, I'm like, yo, this thing like smells weird, and they're like, okay, it's gonna cost too much for us to take it back to ship, so they're like, just throw it out and we'll reimburse you. I'm like, okay. So all I did was
Isn't it like what, at least like $50 or $100?
the product that I bought was like $150, and then add taxes, it was almost $200.
What?
Okay? Yeah.
And they just told you to throw it
They
out.
just told me to throw it out, and they're like, we're not going to carry that product anymore. I'm like, okay. So what I did was I took it outside, and I just let it run for like 4 hours outside, like in natural air. And then
Yeah.
I brought it inside, and it didn't smell new anymore, and I got to keep it, and I got my money back. So a positive review of customer service from Amazon from me. A negative review from Joe. But you know what's funny, Joe? You say you never write reviews. I think you only write negative reviews. I think you'll
That's very
only
true.
write a review if you have something bad to say, but you won't write a review.
Or
if
you
have
had like a
positive thing.
super fantastic experience, right?
I only write the extremes. I don't write if something's 4 stars out of 5, I wouldn't bother. If something's 2 stars out of 5, I wouldn't bother. It's the zeros and 0 out of 5 or like 6 out of 5 type of things. You
That's
know?
what most people do, right? That's why you can't, like, you got to take online reviews with a grain of salt, right? Because
Yeah.
Totally.
it's always the extremes that writes it. So.
Yeah.
Totally. And
I mean,
go ahead.
I always like put star ratings. Like that's no problem. It's just that I never really write stuff. Like I do like 3 stars, good, period, done. You know, but I would
Yeah.
never go into detail.
I like the review boxes that force you to write at least a certain number of characters. You know what I mean? Because I feel like if you're going to rate something, at least tell me why you rated it that. But the other thing that I know now from experience is fake reviews, like fake negative reviews. This actually happened the other day at my dad's store. I just happened to be there. And this girl walks in with her mom. And the girl had ordered like 24 t-shirts off my dad. She had already come with her boyfriend, looked them all over, picked them up, and left. Now, previous to this, my dad told me that this girl had already been a problem. Like, the files she kept sending were wrong, and he's like, he had to like fix them, and then he didn't have the updated Adobe, she did, so the files weren't matching. Long story short, he sorts it out. She comes, she looks at the stuff. Okay, perfect, takes it. Comes back with her mom, and her mom's like, the spacing between one part of the silkscreen and the other is too much. And he's like, what are you talking about? It's exactly what you sent. The girl came, she looked it over, she liked what she saw, her boyfriend was here, they took off, and now an hour later you're coming back telling me it's wrong? And then my dad's like, I didn't even deal with you, I dealt with your daughter. So, like, if I dealt with your daughter, I'm just going to deal with her one-on-one, and you can talk to her, and I'll talk to your daughter. And then the lady's like, you just told me to shut up. He just told me to shut up. And me and my dad just look at each other, and my dad's like, I didn't tell you to shut up. I just told you that I dealt with your daughter. She's old enough to be able, like, the girl was like 24. She's old enough to be able to deal with me herself. Then the boyfriend comes in, and my dad asked the boyfriend, he's like, did you guys not come in, look at the shirts, and they were fine and leave? And the boyfriend's like, yeah. And he's like, so why is she here complaining now? And the boyfriend was speechless, like, had nothing to say. Long story short, the girl takes photos of my dad's store. She's like, I'm going to go post a bad review of you, blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, go right ahead. As soon as you post that bad review, I just want you to know that Google Review has a very strict review policy. And I'll go on there and I'll make sure that I report your false review. So sure enough, a few days later, she had posted the review and I read it. She said that my dad was like aggressive and that he was threatening her. Like, total overboard. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, you're actually writing an essay paragraph about my dad threatening you? I was there. He did not threaten you. You're crazy. Like, you came, you grabbed your stuff, it was fine. And then an hour later, maybe your mom didn't like it or said that maybe like, oh, my friend could have done it better or whatever. I don't know what. But like, dude, you came, you signed off on the product, you signed off on the mock-up, and then you're going to come here and say that we messed up? No, that might have been an error on your part, but we did it exactly how you wanted it done. So, like, I totally now understand, like, negative reviews, especially ones that are lengthy, take them with a grain of salt. Because that person who writes, like, an essay of a message is going to skew some of the words. Like, say that my dad is threatening. My dad is not threatening. He's like a friggin' teddy bear. So that really pissed me off. Like, really pissed me off. But what can you do, right? Like, all I could do is report her to Google and wait for them to take down the review. But my dad's reviews went from 5-star to 2-star because she gave him a 1-star and he only had like 4 reviews. So like that, to me, that's not fair. It's like,
wait, when you average it out, it shouldn't be 1-star, right? It should still be like.
It was like
3 reviews.
It got to like 2.5, 3. It was something like that. But it was much like it used to be 5-star, and then because of her thing, it just dropped dramatically. So I take those reviews now with a big grain of salt for sure. And I just experienced that this past week, which sucks. But it is what it is. You're not gonna please everybody, you know? Like, they could just be even having a bad day for all I know. It's crazy.
Yep. Wait, so your air purifier or Hepafilter,
yeah,
does it actually reduce like the amount of dust in your room as well?
Oh, totally, dude. Like before, see the shelves behind me?
Uh-huh.
Okay, when I have to dust, I have to take all that stuff off. Okay, I don't know if you see the amount of stuff on there.
Yep.
Right?
And dude, the problem I have with like dusting is that like there's just so much dust everywhere. It was like that in Vancouver. It's exactly like here.
Dude, yeah, that's so you got to get these HEPA filters, and I actually suggest getting like a big one for like if you've got an open space where it's like living room and kitchen together. Get a big one for that area, and then get smaller ones for like your bedroom and like your hallway or something, you know? Yeah. And if you have 2 or 3 of those, dude, like, and you just keep them on low or on medium, you're
Yeah.
set. Especially like you can turn them on when you're out of the house so you don't have to hear the noise, then turn it off when you get home. I
see.
leave mine on all the time. I've turned it off now because we're doing this and I don't want any audio, like added audio stuff, noise coming in. But they're really good. I only literally got one because I have really bad allergies to dust, dogs, pollen. And ever since I got that, I used to wake up with a stuffed up nose. Ever since I got that, that's during allergy season is super reduced. And during off seasons of allergies, it's just gone. And I could breathe perfectly fine. The reason why I got it was because a friend of mine had a cat. And his girlfriend was allergic to the cat. They got this specific HEPA filter, and she was telling me how it just like changed her life. And I'm like, oh, that like I asked the same questions: does it get rid of dust, like hair, all this stuff? Yeah. And dude, ever since I got that, I definitely dust less, like way less frequently, and less dust is like on my, you know, when I do dust, there's way less dust in the air. I actually threw out the HEPA filter. I Snapchatted it yesterday. You should have seen it, like just coated in just like disgustingness of air. And you look, the first time you look at that after 1 week of collection, you're like, holy crap, that was all in the air in my room. I can't imagine if I didn't have the HEPA filter and this stuff was still floating around. And that's just the stuff it caught. There's probably still a bunch of stuff that it doesn't catch, right?
How much is the filter replacement, I guess?
So for the big one that I have, it comes with packs of like 4, I think, and you need packs of 4 and packs of 2, but you need 3 of them. 1 for the top and 2 for the bottom, and they're all the exact same size, like modular. And those are about, if you want the premium ones, it's like $70, and if you want like the downgraded ones, like the Alibaba version, you know what I mean? It's maybe about $35.
That's
and
racist, by the way.
Why is that racist?
What do you mean the Alibaba version?
Because Alibaba sells cheaper versions of things that you buy, like for regular
It's just
price.
the unbranded stuff.
Yeah,
why
exactly.
don't you say the unbranded stuff? Why you gotta refer to a Chinese company?
Because I
as,
buy
like,
it
the
off
cheaper
the Chinese
shit.
company.
What's up with that?
Because it is cheaper. You act like I'm lying. It's the truth, dude. Sorry to burst your bubble, but like Chinese do 2 things. 1 is copy other people's shit, and 2 is make it for much cheaper. You know
What are you
this.
talking about? I think
That's why
we're
there's
way
no
past the
copyright
point
laws.
where we're only copying stuff, right?
Way
There's
past
like,
that.
look at the charger market. Have you guys heard of what's his brand? Anchor.
Oh,
they
love them.
Yeah, they create like these best iPhone
Also using
replacement.
their mouse.
Yeah, there we go. Wait, they made a mouse?
Yeah, it's
What?
this vertical mouse is really good if you have like carpal tunnel or cubital tunnel
Yeah.
syndrome.
I didn't know they have a mouse, but
it's like $20.
yeah, because you know how Apple charges like $30 just for a cable, right? Like a USB to
Yeah.
Apple cable. So they make these really high quality ones for like way cheaper, and they also make chargers. What do you call those? Battery packs. Super reliable, charges your phone in like no time, but super cheap. If you go on Amazon, if you search for like iPhone chargers or battery packs, it's like these $20 ones from Anchor, and then that charges your phone for days, and it got like, I don't know, 1 million 5-star reviews.
1 million 5-star reviews.
So it's actually started by, I think, someone who used to work at Google, and he just went back to China, started this company. So they source like really high quality components,
Yeah.
and they charge a little bit more than the Alibaba ones, but like the quality is way higher. You can trust the brand and all this stuff, which is a pretty good business model.
Yeah.
But
Nice.
yeah. And did you know, like, I think like one of those Chinese cell phone companies, either Huawei or like, what was the other one? There's another one.
Xiaomi.
They're like, huh?
Xiaomi.
No, Xiaomi is good, but they're not that big in terms of like volume. But like Huawei is like literally becoming one of the largest cell phone.
I've noticed
I think
that.
Yeah,
they're like number 2 now, right under Samsung, right?
yeah, and they're like gonna overcome Samsung soon.
They will. You know how I know this? They're sponsoring like the NHL. Like when you watch hockey.
Oh, really?
Huawei is
Dude,
that's
it's
their
nuts.
sponsor. Can you
Is it
believe
just this
that?
season, or was it last
Well,
season too?
well, the contract was signed this season, so it's probably onward. They
Okay.
probably have a
Yeah, yeah.
1 year or 3 year or 5 year
Yeah.
deal.
And
But
it's
when I
not
saw
even
that
just-
this season, I was like, oh, whoa, that's crazy.
They need a flagship. That's what they need. That's all they're missing.
I think they do. We just don't. We're just not that into it, so that's why we don't know. But
Probably.
like they make some of the best Android phones out there. Like it's not just some like weird Chinese super cheap kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And they do like collaboration with like Porsche to have like these Porsche design phones and all this fancy shit.
That's
but,
crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Do you guys want to know the best the best product Microsoft ever made?
No, what is
Windows.
it?
Like, I'm talking overall. If you took every
Windows
product
98.
from day one to now, the best product Microsoft ever made. You ready for this?
Yes.
Yes.
Ready? I'm going to
Yes.
show you. The Microsoft IntelliMouse.
Holy shit!
Which
You're
I
still
Oh
using
my
it.
god, you still have one. That's
Because I
awesome.
love it so much, and look how new it still looks, alright? This thing is the most brilliant thing they ever came out with, and the only reason I can think that they got rid of it was because it was too expensive to make, because it's such high quality shit.
Hmm.
I haven't encountered one mouse that is as good as this, and people are like, oh, but you don't have side scroll. Yeah, you do. You click the scroll button and you move your mouse, and that's your side scroll. So,
Mm.
like, this was before that was before side scroll was really a thing. So I'm telling you right here, right now, forget any product Microsoft ever made. If you had to literally go overall across the board, this is the one. And on top of just being a solid product, it has lasted longer than any other Microsoft product I have ever had, and it has not slowed down either, or
And
caught a
it's super
virus.
budget friendly.
That's what I'm
That's good.
saying. Across the entire board, it's amazing. And I do not know why they got rid of the IntelliMouse series, but they should have continued with that. Because in my opinion, I say this all the time, there's not one Microsoft product I will vouch for except for this thing. And it's so good. Look, corded, I still use it, people. It's the year 2017. I prefer to use this than a friggin' wireless mouse.
That's pretty good.
Right?
I think some of the best Microsoft stuff is actually from the hardware team, right? Even
I
like
agree.
today, they
I
come
agree
up with some pretty
100%.
cool stuff. Like the Xbox looks super dope. The Surface, from hardware perspective, is really nice. It's really
Oh, so
nicely
nice.
made, right?
Totally.
But yeah, they have a pretty sweet hardware team. And I remember using those mouses. They're the best.
They are. Like,
Yeah.
legitimately. People, like, see me with a wired mouse, and they, like, look at me kind of funny. Or they'll be like, dude.
Do they?
Wait,
seriously?
like you bring it outside? Like
Yeah,
you
'cause,
use it
like,
for your
when-
laptop?
Yeah, oh, dude, yeah, I run this thing to the ground, and that's the beauty of it. If it breaks or whatever, I don't care, so I take it everywhere, right?
Mm.
Like, and it's been fine. Like, this thing's a trooper. But yeah, I take it, and people are like, dude, you use a corded mouse still? I'm like, are you kidding? Do you know what this is? You don't use this?
This is a
'cause you-
legend.
It's because you can't find it, and the ones you can find, people sell for quite expensive. Like, they're
Do
not
they?
cheap. Yeah, go look them up. I think people are selling them for like a good one. Like, I think you could still buy for like $50 or $60 or like
What?
something. I'll look it up right now to
Crazy.
see if I could find it.
Yeah, I remember using mine for ages. I just switched because of my my cubital tunnel issues. But yeah, I'm pretty sure if I whipped mine out right now, it'd be working completely fine.
Yeah, dude.
It's probably my one and only other mouse. You know.
But between $46.98 to $73.99 on
Wow.
Newegg.ca, which is like an electronics sort of like wholesaler type thing that's based in Canada. So that's even Canadian dollars. So keep that in mind.
Mhm.
Yeah, but
Yes.
5-star rating and reviews, obviously.
That's pretty cool. But
Yeah.
speaking of that, I think Joe, you might have a lot of issue with Amazon because you're like a Canadian customer too. Because I think don't they get all sourced through the same customer support?
Do they?
I would
don't
think
know.
so. Because I remember when I used to call Amazon from Canada, like the number would show like, oh, it's from Seattle or something.
Oh, well, I know there seems to be a difference in call center because, as I said, like I was talking to some people and they said they couldn't fix my issue because they were servicing the .com people.
Interesting.
So maybe the live chat and like level 1 customer support might be. I don't know how it works, honestly.
Yeah.
It was just a shit show. I choose to try to forget it ever happened.
So you know what's weird on Amazon? I don't know if this happens on .ca as well, but like, have you guys heard of what do they call these things? Dash buttons. You know, you press a button and then it reorders like supplies for you, like paper towels. They have it for all these kind of like renewable things, right? Not renewable, like things you gotta buy all the time. What do you call those?
regular purchases, like things that you
Yeah.
just buy
They're
frequently.
disposables.
Disposables, yes, not renewables.
Okay.
So they came out with these buttons, right? At first, I thought they were like an April Fool's joke when it first
They're
came
so
out. I'm
awesome,
like, are
man.
you kidding me? Do you have these at home?
No, but like the concept is so awesome.
I guess like laundry detergent, right? You just press a button. So the idea is like you stick it on top of like wherever you use them, like paper towels maybe in the pantry, laundry detergent maybe by like the washer or whatever, and then when you run out you just press a button and the next day it shows up on your door, right? It's pretty cool. So my biggest problem is that they have these fucking buttons on their website. On the .com website, I'll send you a screenshot so you can post this later, Mahyar.
Okay.
They have a list of all the different buttons, and they don't tell you what they do, right? So they have like, I'm looking at it right now, they have like Scotch. They just have the logo on them, right? They have Scotch, they have LG, they have Hadabise. I don't even know what that is, right? So the other day I was checking them out, and then I clicked on one of those buttons to learn more, right? Guess what it did?
It purchased
fucking
it.
ordered that shit
Yeah.
for me. It didn't even put it in the cart. It just
purchased
thank you
it.
for your order. It'll be on your way. I'm like, WTF, right? I just wanted to see what the button. It's like a physical button, a physical functionality in the digital world, right? Like
That
on
is
their
so
website.
funny.
So then I had to like quickly cancel it, but luckily it didn't even say, because you know sometimes when you cancel it they'll say like, oh, it's already been shipped.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
see if we can cancel it. But this one, because I think I did it so fast, and maybe because a lot of people misclick this shit because it's super shady, and then they canceled it for me, luckily. But now
That's
every
funny.
time I go on their website, I see these buttons. I'm like, what the fuck are they thinking? Seriously. Oh my god. But
That's
I'm
funny.
sure
And-
they get a lot of orders from this.
Well, they were
Yeah.
they were
I
technically
wonder
giving
if
those
that's-
away. They were technically giving those away for free because what they were doing is you would purchase it for $20, I think, but then you would get a $20 credit to your Amazon account
Really?
to shop. Yeah, so they were technically giving those away for free for at least a certain period of time, I remember.
You mean the physical button, though?
The physical button. So you would
Yeah.
purchase it for $20, but when you purchased it for $20, you got a $20 credit towards your Amazon account.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it is technically kind of free.
Yeah, I'm looking at them now. They're actually all things I order on regular basis, like Scotch tape, like an LG water filter for
there
my
you
fridge.
go. That's why they were doing that for you. So it must be
Yeah.
catered, right?
No, it's
Yeah,
just. I think it's just a shitty design pattern.
I think it's great in the physical world,
Yeah.
right? It's like a button I press, it orders. But like to have it in a digital format is just super weird.
What
And
about
I
this?
can manage my buttons actually. When I click that, it takes me to a site, takes me to a page with all the buttons of all the like consumables that I usually order. This is so stupid.
Is there a select all or click all?
like click all for me, and then you can add buttons. This is just so weird.
Oh, interesting.
You know what I
Yeah.
find even more weird? The
What,
fact
your
that they
face?
have Alexa, right?
Oh,
Which
dude,
like
I
is
hate
that
Alexa.
speaker thing, like you talk to it, whatever.
Yeah.
But now they've come out with this thing called Echo, which is like when Alexa is in another room, you have like these set of speakers that are called
Right.
Echo, and now you could talk to Echo so you don't have to walk up to Alexa that's in your living room. What's
Right.
the friggin' point of even having Alexa then? Just give me an Echo. Give me 4 Echoes in a box.
I think that's the whole point. You can buy 4 Echoes in a box. I bought an Echo last year when it was on sale for like $10, and just sitting there. I only have an Echo. I don't have an Alexa.
But that doesn't make sense. Doesn't Echo connect to Alexa?
No. It just runs on its
Oh.
own. Yeah.
Oh, I thought it connected to Alexa.
No, it doesn't. But I think Alexa has like better speakers. Like you can actually use it to play music. Like my Echo sounds super shitty when I play music with it.
But it literally says the device connects to the voice-controlled intelligent personal assistant service Alexa.
Because I think it's just saying it
Or
connects
you're
to
talking
the
the
cloud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, the same system type of thing.
Yeah, it just
Then
says-
what's the point of having Alexa? Just buy the Echo.
Like Alexa has better speakers. Some people prefer that. I don't know.
Oh,
And they
can it
came out with Alexa
do more?
first, right?
Yeah, I know, but can it do more, maybe? Because it seems
Oh.
like Echo is a cheaper
Yeah.
version, right?
I think what they are trying to do is like, or what they tried to do is like, people when when Alexa came out, people bought that, and then they're like, hey, now you can have one in every room for way less the cost, right? Because the Alexa is like $150 or whatever. The Echo is like $20, and then you can actually buy like a 4-pack. It's like Costco
Yeah.
style, right? You can these in every room of yours.
That's
Which
funny.
I actually find the Echo super annoying because I have one in my living room. It's behind like one of my mirrors. Like I barely use it after I bought it, but it always picks up the weirdest. Like I set it to listen for the word echo, but when we're watching like Chinese drama or something, it would just like randomly picks it up and then be like, "I'm sorry, I didn't catch what you said," and then my wife and I would be like super creeped out because there's another voice in the house for no reason, and then we're like, "Oh fuck, it's the Alexa thing again."
That's funny.
But
Have you
yeah, it
tried?
doesn't seem to do a very good voice recognition.
Have you
Or
tried
maybe
the other
they
ones?
trained a lot on the Alexa word, but for Echo, it just like picks up random like things. Or sometimes when we're talking, it just picks it up and be like, "I'm sorry, couldn't catch what you said."
Speaking of random, this is pretty freaking random, so I'm gonna mention it because I want your thoughts on this. Like, is this something you would do? So there's this woman who goes for a run. I think it's like in Ohio or something like that. She runs every day, and a lady caught her taking a dump in the park. And I don't mean like, like in a bathroom. I mean like on the sidewalk next to her house while her kids were
Hold on.
outside playing.
Is she
Wait.
mid running? Is it like
She's in running out. Yeah,
a
she's,
stream
like,
of
running
shit?
out there.
or does she
So-
stop and then like
She stopped,
squat?
squatted.
Okay.
So the lady approached her and is like, "Are you like defecating like in front of my kids?" She's like, "Yep." And then like the lady thought, "Oh, like it must have been like a situation, like feels
Like an
bad for the
emergency, yeah.
Yeah, right? Like, you just couldn't hold it in. You had to go. You were going to poop your pants. So she lets it go, whatever. Then she sees the same lady, like, a few days later, doing the same thing. Now, the thing is, like, on top of her defecating in public like that, there are bathroom stalls across the street in the park that she could go into. And then there's another set of bathroom stalls across the street the other way that she could also check out. So, long story short, she had taped like a sign next to her house saying like to the woman defecating, like, "Please stop," whatever. But other people in the same city have encountered this lady who just keeps shitting in public places, like next to a Walmart, like just random, like next to your house, whatever. So now the city is looking for this lady. They finally got a screenshot of her, and they posted it in the news. And they're like, "Find this lady because she's pooping all over our city." Yeah,
it's a poop witch hunt.
I'll post the link to the video of that below.
Where's this?
But I think it's in Ohio. I'll look it up real quick so we.
I thought it's in Coquitlam.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Like, wow, that would be.
This would never happen in Coquitlam. Maybe Port Coquitlam.
I'm never moving to
Maybe
there.
Port Coquitlam, but definitely not Coquitlam.
Huh. And is it just this one lady who's been doing it for months, or what?
One lady who has been doing it for quite some time.
Wait, so I don't get it.
How do they know it's one lady? Maybe it's like a group of people, and they're organizing it, so they'll never get caught, type of thing, you know?
Wait, yeah, but are they? So was she the person running in the park, like all dressed up, like?
She's dressed up as a runner. I'll post the link in the description below. It happened in Colorado. Sorry, so that's my bad. It was in Colorado. But yeah, it's like, I don't know if this is something anyone else would do or what, but I just thought it was hilarious. Like, I just want to know what this woman is thinking. Like, why there? So the only thing I can come up with is that, like, it's a turn on for her. Like maybe the whole thing of getting caught, or like that whole like doing it in public turns on, because who wouldn't go to the bathroom across the street, right? And I get it, if you're running, like maybe you get the shits like sometimes, okay,
the shit
so you gotta take a shit every time you gotta run, sure, okay, fair enough. But like, there's a bathroom right across the street from where you took a dump, so why didn't you just go to the bathroom?
She's just marking her territory, you know?
Maybe. So anyway,
gotta assert her dominance.
Oh,
yeah.
Man.
Like, that culture is like, I'm sure it happens in other cultures, like other countries that are, I don't know, that just don't care about this type of thing as much. But
you mean like in China when the lady gave birth in the middle of the street the other week?
Exactly.
What the fuck was that about?
That is crazy. And I was telling my friends about it, right? I'm like, it's becoming a trend. And then they're like, it's definitely not a trend. But dude, that is not the single incident. If you go to the website, I don't know what link you shared, but like I saw it on this website called Shanghaiist or whatever.
Yeah.
If you go to the bottom, I'll show you related articles.
Yeah, there's multiple ones.
There's multiple ones of people just like going grocery shopping and just like, it's literally like
out a kid.
They're gonna they just pop the kid out on the street and just like takes a baby and goes on with their lives, right?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Keep grocery shopping.
Yeah, it's like
that's crazy. That's hardcore. That's hardcore. The thing about this video that I didn't really get, or I found super sort of humorous but also disgusting in a different way, was that the mom wouldn't even pick up the kid from the ground.
Yeah.
And then all these other people were
gross.
surrounding her, and they wouldn't touch the baby either, but they were like giving her like a rice bag to sit on. And like the mom, instead of moving the baby onto the rice bag, just sat on it herself. Like, finally this other lady came up and kind of started like picking up the kid or whatever, but it was like on the cement. And did you see how hard it fell on its head when it first popped out?
Oh yeah.
That was like a 3-4 foot drop, 3 foot drop or whatever.
Because the lady was like standing up straight, right?
Yeah.
And then it just popped
dude.
head first, and then the head just like fell on the ground.
That's crazy. But then that makes me think, is the whole thing that we do with hospitals and the whole like, oh, make sure everything is clean and sanitized, like, are we now overboarding? Like, are we maybe in our Western society?
Are you
like,
serious?
Maybe we just need to give birth, like, because think about it. Back in the day, there were no hospitals.
Is that how you were
There
born?
was no sanitation.
Maybe that's why
may as
you
well
are the way you are, Mahyar.
Maybe we would be more hardcore and, like, not as weak if we were just born on the street.
So traditionally, Chinese folks have been more like caring and like worrying about this stuff than people from the West, right? Like I see people giving birth here and then going back to work like a week later, or like taking work the day of, right? Like literally, I'm probably gonna have my baby tomorrow. I'm gonna work until like today, and then take the days off, right, and then come back a week later. But I think in China, usually the culture is like, oh yeah, you gotta take like a month off before it, and then you have the baby, you gotta rest in the hospital for like 2 or 3 months, or something ridiculous like that.
That's
But like
crazy.
here, I see people giving birth, and the next day they're like on the streets, right, like hanging out and all this stuff.
All right,
So,
but would you
like-
rather see people give birth and then hang out on the streets, or would you rather see birth on the street itself?
No, I'm just saying, like, traditionally, like, Westerners or like folks over here have been like, it seems like their body's like better adapting to it, or like
Oh, I
it's just
see.
like a Chinese culture kind of thing, that you need to rest more, you need to get back to your previous state or whatever.
From a
But
work
yeah,
standpoint,
that giving birth on the street thing is pretty shocking.
from a
Yeah,
work
that's
standpoint, it's because
crazy.
like they don't want to fall behind, you know?
Mhm.
Like,
Like
even
from
though there's
work.
like paternity and maternity stuff, it's like you're losing however many months type of thing, and then all your colleagues are way ahead of you, and you'll never essentially get your job again.
That's
So
pretty tough.
that's like a huge issue that was a it was just a huge issue thing, right?
Well,
so
in
I don't
Silicon
know if-
Valley, a lot of the companies start giving people like ridiculous amounts of like paternity leaves.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And I think if you get fired or you lose your job over it, like you can technically sue the company. I'm not sure with other companies, because we definitely live in like a bubble.
Yes.
But like, I think Facebook gives you like, a lot of these companies over here gives you like a year off for having a baby
Nice.
or stuff like that.
It's funny though, because that goes two ways. Actually, one of the design firms here in Vancouver, they were looking to hire, so they got a recruiting company to find them somebody, and they found the right fit. So they bring in this female, and she's working with them. So when somebody new starts at this firm, they decide, let's go out for drinks, like whatever, right? So 3 weeks back to back, they like invite this girl out to go for drinks, and she came up with excuses all 3 weeks, like, oh, I can't, oh, like, I'm busy, oh, this and that. And they kind of found it odd, because they're like, you figure, like, if you're at a new workplace and you just get there and we invite you out for drinks, you would come every night.
Wait,
like,
so
at
she was
least
already
once.
hired?
She was already hired. So she
Okay.
had just gotten hired, though. So it was within the first month of her being hired. And then after, I think it was the first month, or it was like right when you're like, okay, I'm hired and I'm on board,
Mhm.
she tells them that she's pregnant and
Oh
she
my
needs
God.
her maternity leave. And she
I knew
was
it.
already pregnant before she got the job. So
Mhm.
her whole thing was like, she needs to get the job so she could get the paternity so she could get
Yeah.
money while she's
Oh,
off
wow.
work. So the firm is obviously furious because they paid the recruiting company to
Mhm.
find them somebody, and then now that person is just essentially using them to get that paternity money, and then they're left with nobody. So they essentially went back to the company that hired for them and is like, no, A, you guys failed, B, you guys need to find us somebody else. And it became a huge debacle for them, like a huge problem for them, because like now they have to deal with like sort of like an HR situation, like
Right.
what's legal here.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
We
yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
know that you were pregnant before we hired you. We wouldn't have hired you had you were pregnant. But then is that legal to say?
Right.
Like,
Oh my
right?
god. That's like a
Long
nightmare.
story short, they were able to actually eliminate the problem, like the female. She got canned, and then the recruiting company either, I think, paid them back the money that they paid, or they found somebody else for them. But dude, when something like that happens, what do you do? Right? Like, that's not fair at all. Like, if that happened to me, I would be PO'd that somebody just wanted to get hired with me because they would get that benefit, and then they're gonna F off 2 months after they work.
Mhm.
Right? So that happens too. On the ladder to that is people taking advantage of companies by getting a job and then playing victim of, oh, I'm a new mother.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what would you do in situations like that, right? This is like a super touchy topic in
I would,
Silicon Valley
if
right now
you-
because of like
there's no way you don't know you're pregnant
No,
And
I
they're-
know that, but like diversity and this whole thing's like huge right now over here, right? Because as you imagine, a lot of engineers are male, and then females are getting, they're complaining they're getting sexually harassed, they're not like hired equally, treated fairly, and all this stuff, right? Like I probably, no, never mind, not gonna talk about it, but but I'm just saying, like, on one side, it's really shitty if you know you're getting pregnant and you're just getting this job to pay you during the pregnancy, right? But on the other hand, like, guys don't have to deal with issues like that, right? Like, I'm never gonna get pregnant. I'm always gonna be able to find a job without worrying about things like that. So
That's-
is it
that's
fair
true.
to, because if you disclose you're pregnant right now, and then you can't find your dream job for it, that's pretty messed up too, right? But it
That's
is
true.
kind of messed up if you're just finding the job to get them to pay you while you take the time off to have a baby, right? But like the argument can go both sides, and then it's I don't know. It's a,
Parental, like, that leave goes both ways. So let's say you get pregnant with your wife. You could take the time off instead of her,
yeah, because the,
So-
'cause the
so that
dad
goes
gets
both
the
ways.
parental leave
On
too.
it.
right?
Usually
So-
they get both, paternal
Yeah.
and maternal nowadays.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. So that goes both ways. Like, one of the years that when we were in school, Nick, who was the like tech
Yeah.
IT guy, he took a year. He took the 6 months or year off instead of his wife. Right, so she took it for I think like 2 of the kids or the first kid, and then he took it for the second or third kid.
Mm.
So you know what I mean. So he was off for 6 months or whatever, doing that. She wasn't off during that time. She went back to work, right? So that goes both ways. That's a trade off. But when you're taking advantage of the system, that I find problem, right?
But it's hard to. How do you make the call if the person's taking advantage, right? Like, if I was a woman, I could have like lost my job, and then now I'm looking for another job. But it just happens I'm pregnant now, and then
Yeah, but
does-
you don't
does that-
disclose that. You don't disclose
But if I
that?
disclose it, people discriminate, right? Not
Of
not
course.
technically discriminate, but like, you know what I mean, right?
Yeah,
like people
of
are like,
course.
oh,
I'm
we
not
don't
gonna
want to
hire
hire you
you.
because you're
I'm
gonna
not gonna
need
hire
to take
you.
like 10
Yeah,
months off.
I'm not, because in 2 months you're gonna be gone. I need
Right.
somebody
Yeah.
here now. So like, you're not my ideal candidate, right?
Mm.
I'm not
Yeah.
gonna hire you because you're not my ideal candidate. If you were my ideal candidate, I would hire you, right? So you chose to get pregnant, right? Like-
Not necessarily.
Dude, regardless, I'm making it a choice because you have options there. You have the
Yeah.
option of, for example, birth control. You have the option of using a condom. You have the option of, if you are in that mindset of the abortion. I'm not going to get into abortion talk though, because that's like a touchy subject. But you have those options. You have the option of the father taking the paternal leave or whatever. So for you to come back and say that, oh, it's like, you know, you're discriminating against, no, you're taking advantage of the system. Like, and if you got fired from your job for being pregnant, then that's on the person who fired you. That's on the company that fired you. Go sue them, go do whatever. But you cannot throw that on another company that is trying to thrive and then make them take the hit because you are in a circumstance. I'm sorry, I'm not taking a hit because some lady I don't know is pregnant and is now looking for a job just to make the money while she's off. That's wrong. Even if
I
it's
guess
a guy, that's wrong.
it's kind of like
regardless.
disclosing your vacation plans, right? Like,
Yep.
Yeah.
hey, I'm gonna join the
Pretty
company,
much.
but I'm gonna take like 3 months off, like a week later.
Yep.
But at the same
Yeah.
time, playing the devil's advocate, it's kind of like unavoidable vacation, right? If I had
Not really.
vacation, I mean, like at that
Because-
point, it is kind of unavoidable, right? Like,
No.
oh, I have my plans with my husband, and
yeah.
we're gonna have a kid now.
It's about
Yeah, but
the main thing is
you make those
disclosing it.
options. Exactly. You have to disclose it. And here's the thing. If you disclose that you're pregnant, the first thing I'm going to ask you is like, okay, like, is the father involved? Like, is he taking the paternal leave or whatever? Like, because I can't have you take leave a month or 2 from now because, like, I need somebody to work here. That's why I'm hiring you. And if that's not the case, then this isn't going to be the fit. I'm going to be upfront about that. I'm going to be like, you know, your life choices can't affect my business. So Like, I need somebody now. If you can be here and the dad's taking the time off, then great. If the dad's not taking the time off, then we're going to have a problem and I can't hire you. Simple as that. Now, I don't know if that fits within the laws, but it should, because that's taking advantage of A, the system, and then B, my business, right? So why can't I take advantage of you then, if we're going to play fair, right?
Anyway, onboarding is the costly part of hiring, right? If you're going to have to onboard someone again in like 4 months or 5 months or whatever, it's going to be a nightmare.
Totally.
Because it's not like you're going to keep that person for the whole rest of their career. It's just to replace whoever is on maternal leave, paternal leave, whatever it is, right?
100%.
Yep.
100%.
I don't know. It's a hard call. I was reading this article about like the future of humanities, right? Like one day we might look back at our current states today and think we're super like barbaric, right? Because you think about it, if you think back like 1,000 years, like people didn't have like the toilet system. People barely cleaned themselves with like running water and all this stuff, right? We look back, they're like, holy shit, they're all like a bunch of homeless people living in like a semi-civilized society, right? So
Essentially.
Like a few hundred years, we look back at us now, maybe we could be like, oh my God, you need to like, a baby needs to pop out of your body physically and you have to recover from it. That's ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
Like one day it might be just like all babies get made in the lab, and then there's less of like a forced kind of downtime for women because they have to have a baby, right? It's more like, oh, I have my baby, I gotta spend some time taking care of it, versus like, oh, I need some time like actually have the baby, recover from it, all this crap, right?
Well, right now you can pay to have your child's DNA or your child's features and stuff already predetermined, so they can actually go in and say,
like
do you
a
want your
designer
kids'
baby?
do you want your kid's eyes to be blue or brown? Do you want your kid's hair to be blonde or brown or dark? Okay, and we're gonna pick the best embryo or best DNA, whatever. I don't know how they do it, but so that your child doesn't get born with any deformities. Why would you not want that, right?
It's like a GMO baby.
I would pay for that. I definitely would pay for that. Why wouldn't I pay for the most ideal, healthiest baby? I don't care about the hair color. I don't care about the eye colors. I just want a healthy friggin' baby if I have a kid, which I don't want to have. I think there are too many kids on this planet already. I think we should be taking care of the ones that don't have parents. Personally, I think it's, honestly, in this day and age, it's selfish to have kids. With over, I think, just 9 billion people in China, that's crazy. That's freaking crazy. And that's just in China. So, like, when we're hitting billions of populations in just single countries, that's a problem. Good luck finding food in 10 years, 15 years. I really don't know what's going to happen if we don't have GMOs. Seriously.
By the way, there isn't 9 billion people in China. It's
How
more like
many are
1.3
billion?
I think there's
How
like,
many
what,
are in the
7
world?
billion people on the planet.
No, there's
Yeah.
Mahyar goes
7
like, there's
billion in the
9
world.
billion people.
Maybe
No.
it was 9 billion in the world. Hold on.
No.
let me look it up.
No,
What's your guess?
I'm guessing it's like 7.8 at most.
Oh,
Wait,
you're
it's
so
definitely in the
World
close.
sevens.
population? You mean world population?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your guess?
Yeah.
What's your guess, Owen?
It's definitely
I
not
already
over
googled
8.
it, so it doesn't count.
Okay, it's 7.4. Joe, you were really close.
I
Yeah.
like how Mahyar is just like, there's 9 billion people. in China.
Dude, whatever. I was just throwing
That's
out
so
a number.
racist of
Maybe
you,
it's
bro.
9 million.
What do you
Hold
think
on.
China
Dude.
is?
If China had an army of 9 billion people,
It wouldn't be an
Imagine.
army. It would be women just giving birth on the streets every 2 seconds. Okay, so China has 1.37, essentially 1.4 billion.
Yeah.
So I was off.
I like
by
how
8
when I
billion.
search for Chinese population on Google, it also shows me the population of India and population of the United States in the same chart.
oh
That's
really?
I can
awesome.
quickly
Oh, yeah,
compare.
that's
It's
true.
pretty
Oh.
funny.
And you
Okay,
can
so-
follow it on the timeline.
Yeah,
That's
you can
pretty
highlight
sick.
it. Holy crap! So just China and India alone accounts for like what, 1/3 of the world's population.
That's what I'm
Oh,
talking
yeah.
about, right? So that becomes a problem. So yeah, maybe my number was obviously off. I was throwing that out, but they definitely have probably the world's highest population. Correct? Are we at least on page with that?
I think it's a problem. Their tech and stuff just needs to develop faster to, I don't know, just become a more sustainable area to live in type of thing.
Yeah.
Not just in major cities, but like across because it's a huge country, right?
Yeah.
So you can't. It's not like Canada where it's gigantic and like there's people in like 2 places, type of thing.
True. Do you think
That's true.
huge,
Vancouver and Toronto.
That's very true.
Do you think a huge part of that problem has to do with their lack of healthcare for like maybe birth control kind of preventatives and education? Because
No,
if you compare real quick, if you compare the United States, like the timeline from 1960 to 2016, as far as the population, the United States has 323 million. And if you look at China, India, and United States on that chart that Owen's talking about, I'll try to post it in this thing. United States is essentially streamlined. It hasn't gone too far up. In 1960, it was 180 million, and now it's 323. So it's only like kind of doubled or tripled. Whereas China and India like literally go like whoop,
Yeah.
Like they
So
do a huge influx, especially in the 1980s.
Yeah. Wait, Joe, do you want to say something?
I'm saying it's because it's America has just been developed for that much longer, right?
Yeah. Because I think
if you look at from like 2010, China has like leveled out pretty much as they're becoming.
It's leveling out now.
Yeah, exactly.
it's
But
funny
India's
because
not.
The same thing will happen to India as they're becoming more like China.
yeah, because traditionally, right, in like less developed countries, technically, the more hands you have at the home, the more money you make, right?
Yeah.
Like human power translates directly to wealth. But as you
Exactly.
get more and more developed, that's less true, right? And also you think about your personal well-being, right? If I have 5 kids, I would be like living on the street right now. But that's why we have no kids, right? So, but in like a traditional Chinese family, like from, I don't know, 20 years ago, the more kids you have, technically, the more the manpower you have, right?
Yeah.
Much.
But
it's weird.
As it gets developed, this gets less true. And the thing is, like, even though China now, so it used to be like 1-child policy for everyone, right? But now, even though the country opened up, like you can have 2 kids per family now, I think, but the population still leveled out because people are getting more, like the country's getting more developed, people are getting more educated.
That's what I'm saying. I think it really comes down to education and providing things like birth control and sort of like that. That's one way of doing it, because you see literally all the other countries that are first world countries that seem to be educated and high in tech are all flat. Like they are all flat from 1960 onwards.
Yeah.
The weird thing is Russia dips. So Russia in 1990 peaked at 148 million. And now it's down to 142. Oh, wait, it's gone up to 144. But in 2010, it was 142 million.
Yeah,
so something happened between 1990.
Didn't they always have this problem of like population decline? Like Russia always had that issue. I think they have an imbalance of like men versus women too. I think there's way more women for some reason than men.
It's a weird. It's
I think it might be
the weirdest
like
graph I found.
Like a thing that came from World War II, right? They just lost a lot of men, and then there's like not enough people to populate the country. Yeah,
I never knew that.
Because I think coming out of the war, like they, like half of their population died because of Stalin himself, and the other half like died in the war. Yeah, they came out like really bad.
Wow.
Yeah, and that actually correlates, like that dip in population also in 1990 correlates with the life expectancy. It's as lowest as it had ever been in Russia at 64 years of age. Because like the average median of life.
Because that's how the Soviet Union collapsed, right? Like there was just not enough food and like common household goods to go around.
Yeah, but was that in the mid 1990s? Or wasn't that before? Wasn't that like...
No, it collapsed in the early 1990s or the late 80s, right?
Okay.
1980s, yeah.
And then the ripple effect happened shortly after that,
Yeah,
obviously. Yeah, because it doesn't happen right away. That makes sense.
Yep.
Crazy.
Messed up. But
Crazy.
hopefully...
Speaking of Russia,
Go
Speaking
ahead.
of Russia, did you guys hear about the Cannibal couple who ate 30 people over the course of 18 years?
No.
No? They would
That
drug
sounds
people,
horrible.
cut them up, eat them, and like they even found photos of like heads in an ice platter with fruits around it. Like, you know how you set up
Oh,
like
so gourmet.
Oh, dude,
It's like
yeah.
sashimi
So,
style?
I will post in the description below the link to this article. It's crazy. A husband and wife ate 30 people. They even found body parts that were in like jars with like pickled jars, you know what I mean? Like they were being preserved, right? In like some form of liquid, or they had mixed it with like vinegar and some other stuff to give it like a pickle flavor. Like creepy ass crazy stuff. And they found the body of one of the women who had gone missing like a long time ago. Yeah, that's crazy.
I can't imagine
Oh my God.
people tasting very good.
Chicken?
It must be
Maybe
like
tastes
super-
chicken?
No, we should be like, even the texture of our meat should be pretty gamey, right? We're pretty active and we eat like shit on the most part. Yeah, and like think about like the best cows like Alberta for Canada or like Kobe beef. Those
Mhm.
guys, like, they're bred to be eaten, right? And that's why
Yeah.
they taste good. But if you eat like some random working cow, like a milk cow, they're gonna taste like shit. So I wonder like why people would want to even like the first thought of why would I eat a person? It's not like
If
I don't know.
you had to eat a body part,
uh-huh,
like just a human body part, you just had to eat it.
uh-huh.
What part? But you could pick any body part, but it has to be the full body part. So if you pick a finger, it's the full finger. If you pick like the butt, it's the full butt cheek.
Uh-huh.
Like which part would you pick?
What age of person are we talking about?
Your choice.
Okay, I'd probably pick something really young because it's more tender.
Of course, Joe would even
Like
say
veal.
such a thing.
It's like veal, right? Like
Exactly,
baby cow.
Exactly.
Wait, so how did they drug these people? Did they just invite their friends over for like
Yeah,
dinner parties?
give him a drink,
This is an
put something in the
important
drink.
question.
Yeah.
That is messed up.
So Owen, what body part would you guys pick?
I don't know, probably the thigh or something, because there's a lot of meat there. Right?
I like dark meat better, so I would probably young.
So
a young
gross.
I might actually go for the eyeball. It's small. It's small. I could do it without biting it. I could just swallow, and it's
thigh.
kind of
there's like hard stuff in the eye.
yeah. But I don't have to bite it. I could just swallow it. You know,
Oh,
like kind of like. Well, I know you don't have. Joseph
have
can't
trouble-
swallow pills. Like he
yeah,
actually
I
can't
have
swallow.
trouble
He has a problem
swallowing
with that.
pills.
So I can understand why you would have an issue with that, but I can swallow like 5 pills at once, 4 pills at
That
once.
is true.
Yeah, so I'm gonna throw back that eyeball. I'm not gonna have to bite anything, and it could be a kid's eyeball, so slightly smaller, and then that way it's just like sort of like slurping escargot
raw?
or something. Raw, cooked, your choice. I would cook the eyeball, just get all those impurities out, you know.
Uh-huh.
All right, guys.
How about you, Owen? What would you get?
Nope, I refuse to participate in this conversation. I think I'm done.
That's
This is
funny.
gross.
We grossed him out.
All right.
New video game coming out. Cuphead. Owen, You want to talk about that?
Yeah, that game's pretty cool. I would never play it though. 'Cause
Why not?
I'm just terrible at platformers, and I heard this game is like really, really hard. But the art style is pretty cool. If you guys haven't checked it out.
I'm really happy with the. I think that's actually the one thing that interests me is the graphic appeal. So for those of you who don't know, Cuphead is a game that's coming out. It's going to be for PC and Xbox apparently, and its graphic style is done in like 1930s cartoons, like the old school black and white, where like the bed is moving and has eyes and like.
I think like Steamboat Willie.
You got it. So really cool the way it's done. Now I haven't played the game yet. I don't even know if it's released yet, but
it is.
It looks awesome. It looks really awesome. So I'll post in the link description below.
There's actually this super hilarious video of video game reviewer, I think, or blogger, something like that, for some media site, and he like has this reputation of not really being a gamer, but like having to write these reviews anyway. And he had to go through this first level tutorial type thing, and he was just failing at the tutorial, like complete like 20 minutes of failure type of thing.
This is the Cuphead game.
Yeah, so
nice.
That's actually how I found it. I found out about it is because this guy was having such a hard time doing like simple tasks type of thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it was spread over Reddit type of thing. So I'm pretty
awesome.
sure the video got released as a tongue-in-cheek type of review. Like this non-gamer is so bad that they just had to publish it type of thing.
That's awesome.
I think it got misskewed or something like that. I don't know.
We will post that in the
It's
description below
definitely
as well.
hilarious if you're a gamer.
That's funny.
If not, then it'll be like 20 minutes of boredom.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
I think that's
Owen stretching.
what.
Owen stretching. You know what that means.
What?
Owen wants to close it. He wants to end it.
No, I'm saying like that's what I've been saying we should probably try and do, right? Like Mahyar doesn't play video games. It'd be super
It's not
fun.
that I don't play. It's just
He's too good for the video game culture.
know.
You know
What's
what
up
it
with
is?
that?
I'm too busy editing these podcast videos to play games.
But,
You and your bleeping, just don't bleep and you'll save like
I like
hours
the
of time.
bleeps. I like
Yeah.
the bleeps. They're kind of nice because it kind of is like, oh, they're swearing, but like they're being classy about it. And we keep the
Being
shits.
classy about it.
We keep the shits, craps, and bitches, but we
But not
axe.
fucks.
Yeah, we.
What else
we
do you-
axe those.
What else do you...
I also axed because
Really?
I just figured that's like just a little dirty. Things like asshole. These people can't even hear these ones that
Why?
I'm saying now because I've axed it.
Oh.
Just because I told you before, it actually affects our search and our monetization. If we get flagged, we cannot monetize off that video. So if
Do
one
people
person,
actually?
if one person flags our video, and it's happened to me on Facebook before, I popped a Facebook advert, and there was one in the middle of the entire thing. There was one part where somebody said the F-bomb, and I didn't cut it out, and my Facebook ad got cut like after 2 hours because somebody reported it. Whatever. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, right?
that slut.
Yeah. That's funny. That's hilarious.
What was I gonna say? Oh, I was checking out Reddit. It says Bill Gates thinks the 1% should basically take the bill for moving us to renewable energy. And he just donated the first $2 billion.
Nice.
That's pretty cool.
That is awesome.
Because
That's
technically, if we get over this like low hurdle of like the 21st century, technically we can have like unlimited amounts of energy, right? And once
Yeah.
we
Exactly.
do that, it's basically like everything is free at that point, right?
The problem is there's this industry where there are a lot of people in, like a majority of Canadians and Americans work in trades. And a lot of those people work on oil rigs and refineries and
Yeah.
things like that. So what you're going to be doing with renewable energy is you're axing an entire industry.
A
But
huge industry.
yeah, but
You're creating
What-
tons more jobs and freeing
What-
time.
yeah, but what I'm saying is what they should do is create a program where these tradespeople who are involved in oil and whatever, that sort of industry, that will be affected by this transition towards green and sustainable energy, get free. I have no problem with this. Give them free school, give them free, like low, not wage, but low sustainable income. Retrain them for the green energy shit. Now you've got all your new employees, your entire new industry set and ready to go, and the transition is much more straightforward. Because if I work in trades on an oil rig, and I'm like, you're going to make me lose my job because you're going to open this industry, but you tell me, well, hey, we'll pay you while you go to school and learn this new aspect that's similar to the job you have now, but in a different field, and then we'll pay for your school too. And then when you're out, you have your job because we're transitioning to this. Then you take those oil companies and you transition them as well to fit with this this new model. But as long as tradespeople think that they're not going to have a job, this is not going to happen, right?
It's less about the people and more about the companies that are willing to do this, to take a hit. So, like, if you think
That goes
BP,
both ways.
you know, like, it's the company. Like, they're the ones that are, like, lobbying and stuff like that.
Yeah, but as a worker,
think.
would you not be lobbying? Would your union not be lobbying?
Well, it's
Talk
True,
to any
but I think-
tradesperson. They're not
I
going to
think
want to do that.
the companies have, like, the bigger say, right? They're the ones
Yeah.
that don't want to lose a profit. They're the ones that are blah blah blahing, right?
Yeah.
I feel like people just need to, and this goes back to my whole rant about like us being very, a very primitive species. Like we care about like greed, personal gains, and all this stuff. But if people can get over that, not saying I don't care because I'm also human, right?
Yep.
But if you think for the long term, technically, once we move to a fully renewable energy world, like resources no longer, like energy is no longer a limitation, right? So technically, a lot more things are going to come for free, basically. Because we look at Elon Musk's pitch, and you probably heard this before, like I don't know, a few 100 kilometers of solar panel can capture enough sunlight to power like the entire world for, I don't know, a month or years or whatever. Anyways, it's like very small amount of investment,
Yeah.
huge amounts of power, right? And once you unlock that, because technically right now everything costs in terms of energy, right? Energy to make it, energy of the manpower, energy of all this stuff. But once you can get energy to that cheap, you can do like universal income for everyone, and you're going to free up a lot of people's time. And I just don't think things are going to cost as much as they do now. Like money is going to be used. I don't know how it's going to turn out, but for the better, technically, like everyone can get whatever they want for basically nothing, because energy is pretty much free. And basically, if you look at the cost of everything, it basically translates from energy, right?
Yeah.
So if we get over this short period of like weirdness, then technically, like, I imagine we're a place where people don't have to work anymore and do all this stuff.
So what do
I
you
hope
predict would be like the next problem that arises from it? And because it's not like it'll just solve all problems and there will be no problems. There's always going to be a new problem, right?
Yeah, I think maybe living space. But if energy gets that cheap, that means like technology of like transportation and all this stuff going to be like solved as well, right? So we might be able to like conquer other planets or move into space and all this stuff, right? Maybe it's like raw material, right? Because that's still finite. But I don't know. Maybe it like the next one might be something we don't imagine to have, right? Think about like back 1,000 years ago, like
Exactly,
the kings
that's
and
what I mean.
queens have like their breakfast or their like craziest dinner feast is like our breakfast today, right? Like of the everyday person. So think about like a few hundred years from now, right? The problems we have today might not be the problem of future people. They never worry about like pollution, right? From 100 to or like 300 years ago. So it might be like, I don't know, getting invaded by aliens or something stupid like that. But I imagine like energy is not going to be a problem. Maybe living space and raw material could be, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, resources. I think food is going to be a huge issue, and people don't realize it. Like, it's already a problem.
But food, right? I think you can. There's already like people inventing like man-made meat, right? Man meat.
Yeah, but how quickly can you process man-made meat? It's not fast. It's a very slow process.
But I think all these things are going to be like growing exponentially, right? Looking at the trend. And then once we free up all the energy, then it's just like, yeah, it's going to be crazy if you think about it.
People can also go on like the Soylent diet. I'm sure like that's becoming more popular. I've never tried it myself.
The what?
Soylent.
What's that?
It's like essentially a meal in a drink form. Like a full-on, literally everything you need to be healthy in a drink form.
Yeah.
No thanks.
But I don't know how real that food problem is, right? I get there's a lot of mouth to feed, but I think a lot of modern countries are dealing with obesity way more than like hunger, right? So like technically people can eat a lot less. I know people are not going to do it, but
it's not even about eating less, dude. You can eat less and still get fat if you're eating McDonald's every day.
Well,
like,
but like, have you seen the videos of like people shopping at like Costco and shit like that? Oh my god, I'm pretty sure they do not eat that much food.
Yeah, but dude, I'll buy a 30 pack of whatever, right? But I don't eat all 30 in a day.
The problem is, the problem is not the amount of food we can generate as a population; it's the distribution.
Right.
Like, let's say there's 100% of food that we make, like 50% of it goes to America and Canada, let's say, leaving countries like China, which has more population, with like 20% for some reason. So it's the distribution that's the problem. It's not the creation of food. We have shitload of food.
Yeah, and then I think also like even though people still go hungry and stuff like that, but like I always argue like a big percentage of the population already living way better than how like they have been living traditionally. Like in China, if you look through the dynasties, like regular people did not have meat, right? Meat was for like the bureaucrats, the kings and queens, like all this stuff, right? Like you never had meat as a regular person. If I was born in like, I don't know, 15th century China, I probably do not touch meat my entire life, right? But now it's like accessible by like everybody.
Okay.
So if you look at it from that scale, it should just get better.
Okay, let's look at it. It's
all about streamlining the processes.
Let's look at it from another scale. You live in California. What's happening with all the farms in California? With all that drought, they're not growing anything. California is one of the largest food distributors in all of not just America, but around the world. And to put into perspective of you of how much of a problem this is, okay?
Avocados.
In 2016,
avocados, green gold.
108 million people in the world were severely deprived of food in 2016. In 2015, that number was only 80 million. So in 1 year, it jumped from 80 million to 108 million. And so that was just 2015 and 2016.
Where are those people? Do they track where those people are?
That's the thing, dude. That's all over the world, right? So you're right. It's going to be a majority of them are going to be third world countries and deprived countries because those countries don't have access to money to buy the food, or they are also in drought. But what is the most alarming part of all of it is California, in my mind. California, if you look it up, is one of the largest distributors of food, and I'm not talking about packaged food. I'm talking about greens, like agriculture food. And if you look it up, you will see that the drought in the past 2-3 years over the summer has severely effed up the growth of food in California to the point where they're not really growing much. Like, they're not growing enough. that they need to be, and they support a large portion of the American population and the world. So that's a huge problem, right? Now, California is just one example of probably many. So this, I think you guys underestimate how big of an issue this is. We're safe because we're in a first world country that will pay as much as we can for food. Look at the prices of your vegetables and your fruits. They've all gone up over the course of the past 4 or 5 years. I don't know if you've noticed that, but the prices
But that's
have
just
dramatically
inflation,
increased.
right?
Not necessarily, dude. Same goes for fish.
I think
Supply and
there
demand.
is a problem with like, I think the climate's changing. Like California is like getting a lot hotter than it used to be, and all this stuff. That's definitely gonna affect it. But I think if we can solve the energy problem, one, everything will be renewable, so that it stops the planet from getting warming. So it would make like things like California, the weather more stable. Two, I think once energy is basically free, at that point you can do whatever you want, right? You can like create artificial sunlight or create these huge machines that like filter out salt water into regular water and like pump it through the ground, right? I don't know. You can do some pretty crazy shit at that point. Because technically
Totally.
everything you can trace it back to the cost of energy. Right now, the cost of like boiling seawater is probably way higher than what it's worth. But like if you can get free energy, then technically you can do all these things, right?
Yeah, but you're assuming that even though if energy is given to us for free by the sun, that the government's going to supply it for free, and they're not. They're going to pay a premium because those
It's always someone wanting to make a profit.
not just that, those solar panels that are laid across, they actually get dusted and sanded over, and somebody has to go and scrape that sand and dust off of them. Did
Yeah.
you know that? Like, they actually have to go like and with that many panels, you need a few workers to do that. Maintenance, right? Like, those things cost money too. So
Yeah.
you'll have that as a factor. I think another thing that'll help, and this can help you guys now, is if everybody just had a small personal garden of their own. It doesn't have to be anything big. Just have a small garden. Grow some of your own vegetables. Then you're
I'm
not
just
buying
glad
as
you
much.
didn't say plant some Bitcoin in the garden.
See, dude, I did not bring up Bitcoin. You did. Don't make me talk about it again.
But yeah, I think that's fair. Like growing your own stuff. That's what it's all about, right? Like people in California are saying you should get like your personal solar panels on the roof,
Yeah.
and a lot of people already do.
Yeah.
And like you are basically off the grid kind of thing, right?
I have a hydroponic box. You could buy indoor gardens, hydroponic based, so it's all water instead of soil.
What do
And
you
you
grow?
just change the water.
You actually have a fish tank. That's really common to do, and it's actually a
course
really
you
good
do.
way to filter your.
Are you
fish
gonna
tank
eat your
water.
goldfish?
No, you just because your fish create waste and all these other things, right? And that stuff helps grow the plants because there's
Yeah.
water, there's and it's just creating this ecosystem.
Believe it or
really
not, I use
common.
something that has bird poop in it because that bird poop has this this like, you know, whatever thing. I forget what they're called. But not a parasite, but little sort of like algae, but not algae.
Yep.
A bird poop has it, and it's actually really good for your plant roots. So I pour that in my hydroponic like thing,
Yeah.
so that my plant roots stay awesome because it eats the shit off of it.
Yeah.
Um,
And
So, yeah.
stuff that you grow just tends to taste better than like stuff you can buy at Walmart,
Because they're
especially.
not GMO.
totally. Well, you
uh,
have
yes and no, you know, like it depends on the soil as well. Like my aunt, she has like this giant garden and she grows like the absolute best cherry tomatoes I've ever tasted. It's like literally after you cook it, it's like eating candy. Is that sweet and tomatoey?
yeah, it's crazy, and the nutrients you use too, right? Like
Yeah.
you need to add nitrogen and carbon type nutrients that aid your plants, and you can't over-nute, you can't under-nute. Like the more on par you are, the better. That's why I do hydroponic, because it's like pretty stable. I don't have to guess my nutrients. I know exactly how much nutrients for the amount of liters of water that I put in. So it's usually always stable. But I highly recommend get an indoor garden, like get an outdoor one if you want. You could buy them, they're fair price. They come in LED lights so they don't expel too much energy and they're not overly hot. So yeah, that might be something some people want to look into. I'll post a link to a company that offers indoor growing hydroponic kits so you guys can have a look at that too. You can grow tomatoes, you can grow whatever vegetable you
Or
want.
just Amazon. Amazon has everything.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Except customer
Amazon.
support.
Yeah, except customer
The
support.
one time, that's the one time they actually gave me horrible customer support. That's why I had to write about it, and I had to rant, because usually I'm so used to good stuff, and then this one was so opposite,
That's funny.
Oh man, I'm so hungry. I think
Yeah,
I'm gonna go
it's
eat.
lunchtime.
Yes.
We would love it if you subscribed, liked, shared, comment, all that jazz. And we'll see you all next week. Thank you for watching the Basic Bros podcast. Peace out.